My name is David Matlow, and I own the world's largest private collection of Theodore Herzl memorabilia, some of which you see behind me. On June 6, 2026, I started the Herzl 100, where I would post 100 Herzl artifacts in 100 days, and you can find all of them under hashtag Herzl100 on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. This is a review of items 100 through to 90. The hashtag 100 was a countdown. If you want more information about Herzl, you can go to my website, www.herzlcollection.com. Enjoy. What I'm holding is possibly, maybe, the most exciting pocket watch featuring the face of a Zionist luminary, Theodore Herzl, that was ever created. Made in Germany or Switzerland 100 years ago, it has the face of Theodore Herzl, the founder of the Zionist movement, and it's a symbol of it's time for the Jewish people to live safely and freely in our ancestral homeland. That was Herzl's vision, and that's what's reflected in this important timepiece. It's also time for Israel and its neighbors to figure out a way to live in peace. This is the first installment in the Herzl 100. I am going to be canvassing the 100 most important Herzl pieces, so stay tuned. Follow hashtag Herzl 100. This is number 100. There's 99 more to come. This is perhaps, possibly, the most important piece of Zionist sports memorabilia ever. It is a hockey puck from the 13th Herzl Cup, played in Toronto, between Toronto and Montreal in 2003. Now, Herzl's face is on the body of a hockey player, and this was a way for Canadians to reflect upon his vision and his goal, which was that the Jewish people should live safely and freely in our ancestral homeland, the same right for the Jewish people as other people had. And he worked his idea, and his idea became so important, and he became followed by Jews around the world, including here in Canada, where this hockey game was named after him. Zionism, which he envisioned, was the national liberation movement of the Jewish people, the right to live safely and freely in our ancestral homeland. And it is the same right that other people have. So let's drop the puck on a new future for the Mideast, reflecting Herzl's vision that all people should live peacefully and happily and have a better life. Let's get that game on. This is possibly, maybe, the most important box that sold Theodore Herzl brand pencils ever created. These are Czechoslovakian pencils sold in the 1930s, and they have the likeness of Theodore Herzl on them. It was one way to remember Herzl. Herzl was a journalist. He was a writer. He wrote two important books, The Jewish State, which was his vision that the solution for anti-Semitism was a Jewish state, and a book called Alt Neuland, Old New Land, about the progressive utopian new society that the Jewish people will build in their ancestral homeland. And so it's quite fitting that he was on a brand of pencils because he was a writer. So let's all pick up our pencils and envision a better future like Herzl did. Herzl believed we weren't saddled with the conditions in which we find ourselves. We can dream of a better future. So if this is the Herzl 100, this is number 98, and continue to join us at hashtag Herzl 100 as we march towards the best, most important Herzl item of all time. Pencils down. I'm holding in my hand perhaps the most important postcard of Herzl Lodge at Tel Noar Lodge in New Hampshire that has ever been created. This was mailed in 1951, and Tel Noar Lodge was a purposeful vacation in an enjoyable Zionist atmosphere on Sunset Lake in Hampstead, New Hampshire. So Herzl was so important that camps, schools, lodges were named after him. And so that is why this is Herzl 100, item 97, as we march towards the most important Herzl item of all time. If you went to Tell Noar Lodge, drop a comment below so you can tell us what it was like, what you did there, and how much fun there was for you in Herzl Hall. I'm holding in my hand what is possibly, perhaps, the most important German missile case, which has a portrait of Theodor Herzl on it and the name Herzl in Hebrew. This was from World War I and the British capturing of Palestine and the city of Jerusalem from the Ottoman Empire. The capture of Jerusalem, or the liberation of Jerusalem, took place on December the 12th, 1917, which is commemorated in Roman numerals here. And so the British captured Jerusalem from the Ottoman Empire. Ultimately, that led to the British mandate for Palestine, which was consistent with the Balfour Declaration, which the British government issued 2 weeks before this was created. And then the British mandate was turned back to the United Nations in 1947, which led to the UN Partition Resolution of November 29, 1947, which called for the creation of the State of Israel. So that's why this missile case is so important. A lot of history here. And this is item 96 in the Herzl 100 as we march towards the top Herzl item of all time. Follow at hashtag Herzl 100. What's in my hand is probably the most important Zionist flagpole decorative ornament of all time. It sits on the top of a flagpole, and it has the Star of David with the lion and 7 stars. And the 7 stars are the idea that Herzl had for the Jewish state, the 7 stars reflecting the 7-hour workday that he envisioned for this new society, the Jewish state of his dreams. And at the time, the average workday in North America and in England were more than 10 hours. And this flagpole was this flag ornament was for the Keren Kayemet L'Yisrael, the Jewish National Fund, which was created at the Fifth Zionist Congress in 1901, and it bought land from money donated by Jews around the world. It bought land in what was then called Palestine, a province of the Ottoman Empire. This is item 95 in the Herzl 100, and continue to join us at hashtag Herzl 100 as we march towards the best, most important Herzl item of all time. Holding in my hand possibly the most important handwritten notebook of a Viennese Zionist other than Theodor Herzl. This is the notebook of Egon Zweig, the cousin of the author Stefan Zweig, and it is his notes from the 6th Zionist Congress, which was held in 1903 in Basel. This is a 1 of 1, and importantly, Egon Zweig took a tally, a handwritten tally, of the vote for what was called the Uganda proposal, the idea presented to the British, to the Zionist movement, that there could be a protectorate for the Jewish people in what they called Uganda, but it was really current-day Kenya. The delegates looked at this, voted on it, and it was an issue of great consternation for the delegates, because most people said there is no Zionism without Zion. But for political and strategic reasons, the Zionist organization sent a delegation to look at this territory, and ultimately by 1905 the idea was off the table, because for the Jewish people the idea of a homeland where we could be free and safe meant returning to our ancestral homeland. So even though there was a vote on Uganda, ultimately the decision was that the Jewish state, the Jewish homeland, should be in the ancient historical homeland of the Jewish people. This is item 94 of the Herzl 100, and join us as we march forward towards number 1. I'm holding what is perhaps the most important and certainly one of the biggest pictures of the sculpture of Theodor Herzl that was made by the artist Boris Schatz in the early 1900s. This sculpture was made, it was a commission for the Theodor Herzl School, a public school that was created in North Lawndale in western Chicago in 1915. And before it was shipped to Chicago, a group of important people, all dressed up, including Herbert Samuel, who was the High Commissioner for Palestine for the British, went to see it. So this must have been in the 1920s or so. The sculpture sat in the Herzl School in Chicago for many years, and then it moved to a men's social club in Chicago, and finally was moved to the building, the head office of the Chicago Jewish Federation, where it sits today. It took a side trip in 1939 to the Jewish Palestine Pavilion at the 1939 World's Fair in New York City. So this is an example of how important Herzl was, that a major important sculpture, large, of him was made, and it's been preserved to this day and sits in Chicago in the head office of the Jewish Federation. This is 93 of the Herzl 100, and join us at hashtag Herzl 100 as we continue to canvass the best Herzl items of all time. Holding what is possibly the most important Jewish book since the Bible, the Talmud, the Mishnah, and all the explanations, Rashi and other commentators on our holy books. This book is the Judenstaat, the Jewish state, written by Theodor Herzl in 1896, and it was published on February 14th of that year. It is a Valentine's gift to the Jewish people because in this book, Herzl explained his idea for a Jewish state as a solution to anti-Semitism. That's what was motivating Herzl, his concern that the Jewish people in Europe were living on borrowed time, and we know that to be the case. This book was printed in only 3,000 copies in the first edition, and this is a first edition. It was quickly translated into many languages, and it really created a wellspring of passion and interest for the solution for the difficult plight that the Jewish people had. With this book, Herzl embarked on a journey to make his idea come true. It wasn't simply writing a book, putting the idea on paper, but acting to make it happen. And some of the things that he did give rise to the items that we are seeing in the hashtag Herzl 100. So this is item 92, and we continue to march towards the best Herzl item of all time. I am holding what many believe to be the most spectacular machberet, children's workbook for school, that has ever been created with a theme of Zionism. This is Machberet Herzl. This is Theodor Herzl, and he is flagged by the flag of the United States and the Zionist flag, which later became the flag of the State of Israel. And just here you see the parallelism between the aspirations of the founders of the United States, celebrating its 250th birthday this year, for freedom, liberty, a more perfect union, a better future. And Zionism, the idea was to live safely and freely in our ancestral homeland. And that's why the two flags are often shown together. But what makes this a spectacular Zionist icon is on the back of it is the text of the Balfour Declaration in English and in Hebrew. The Balfour Declaration issued by the British government showing support for the creation of a homeland for the Jewish people in the land of Israel, then called Palestine, which was issued in 1917. This beautiful machberet is item 91 in the hashtag Herzl 100. Please continue to follow us as we march towards number one. What I'm holding is the most heartbreaking piece of Herzl memorabilia in existence. It's a small booklet that was published in the spring of 1919, which memorializes the members of the Herzl Bund, the Herzl Club, who fell fighting for Germany in World War I. German Jews were patriots. They served their country in World War I, and they were rewarded for that patriotism within 15 years by being subjected to the Nazi regime, and subsequent to that, the Holocaust, which destroyed German Jewry and 2/3 of European Jewry. And this is something that Herzl was worried about. When he wrote The Jewish State in 1896, it was subtitled A Modern Solution to the Jewish Question, which was anti-Semitism. And Herzl feared that the land, the ground was burning under the feet of the Jews of Europe, and that the Jews were destined for destruction, and he was right. And so this is what he tried to solve in the Jewish state, and his idea for Jewish state, which was the cause of Zionism. And we think about this a lot with the rise of anti-Semitism in North America and around the world. If Jews are nervous, it's because we have seen this movie before. These people who are memorialized in this book were German Jews. They were Zionists. They were members of the Herzl Bund, and they fought for Germany and died. And we all know what happened in Germany within a short 15 years of this book being published. And this is what Herzl was worried about, and this is why Herzl's vision, which was realized, of a Jewish state is critical. Thank you for watching the Herzl 100.